Can't find the record button. There it is. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob. And with me are my wonderful co-hosts, Maddie Schultz.
Hey there.
And Nick Owen.
Hello from me.
I don't know why I did it like, and Nick Owen. Like, it was a very weird intro. I apologize.
You know him. You love him.
Yeah. Where's he going? It's Nick Owen. Anyway, off to a cracker of a start. For those who have been paying attention, they should know this is the inaugural kind of reboot of the podcast. Nothing's really changing, except we've got two wonderful people helping me dissect movies on a regular basis. So it's nice to have you both here for the first official team show, I guess. Team show, maybe? There's a solo show and a team show. How are you both?
It is. Yeah, very, very good. Thanks, James. Sorry, I'll just jump straight in.
Compete for airtime. Go. I'll choose my favorite.
No, very good. Very excited to be here. Happy to take some of the dialogue load off you. You were just mentioning before that you've got a few things lined up, and I'm always admire you for being able to talk for that long.
It's I had an episode drop last week. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it, but I had an actress on, Nadia Robertson, wonderful actress, like wonderful guest. And I was like, this will probably be like an hour, 90 minutes tops, because whenever I have a new guest, especially an international one, they don't have a lot of time to talk and they kind of just want me to carry it. I reckon I spoke for 10 minutes in that episode. She did like for 3 hours. She just ran the show and it was amazing. We didn't even get through her list. That's how much we spoke. So she's coming back this weekend to finish off that list. So, yeah.
What a wild ride.
It was cool, man. She was talking about working on Captain America, and she was talking about what else did she do? She was in a film that got nominated for an Oscar. I can't remember the name of it now, but she was in that. She was in an Insidious film and all sorts of stuff. But she had a lot of like inside, behind the curtain goss about working for Marvel and stuff. So that was kind of cool.
What excellent insight! That'd have been awesome.
Yeah, man, it was definitely fun, and it was nice to kind of just kick back and be like, "Hey, you do the talking. You let me know when you're ready for me to jump in." How are you, Maddie? Official co-host number 2. Right. Not ranked, just you were the second one to talk.
Yeah, no, Nick beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
No, doing okay. Recovering from a pretty wicked bee sting, which I keep bitching about, and everyone's really sick of me bitching about it. So that's all I'm saying.
Is that at work that they're complaining about it?
Oh, just anyone who'll listen. I'm like, I got stung by a bee.
Nick and I be pretty chill, but I was wondering how long it would take into the show for you to mention. I was like,
told you. You knew I'd bring it up straight away, man.
She brought up Bumblebee sooner than the Transformers. That's how quick it was. I got to get these singers in quickly. No pun intended with singer, by the way.
I've made it to my 35th year. Still never been stung by a bee, so
me either.
I'm doing pretty well.
I'm bee-free since
6 for me. Holy crap!
Wow.
Get amongst the flowers, Nick.
I feel like, this is true. It's probably my inside lifestyle coming to bite me. Well, I do go out cycling a lot, but maybe I'm too quick for the bees. But
I'm putting that on a shirt. Too quick for the bees.
That and get amongst the flowers.
But but I feel like, see, at least you're like it hurts, but I could be stung and just drop dead from it, and then not know that I'm allergic.
Well, my reaction's getting worse each time. That's why I'm bitching about it this time.
She's going to have a Cronenberg Goldblum-like transition soon where she's going to become half bee, half Maddie.
Ooh, I get really fuzzy. Oh, that'd be adorable.
I don't know the last time you watched The Fly, Maddie, but did not work out well for poor Brundle. So
yeah, but this isn't. I'm not turning into a fly, okay? I'm turning into a bee, like a champion of nature, okay?
Start producing your own variety of honey. There's no downsides to this.
Exactly. I could fly.
I've already lost. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Sorry. I'm doing really well, James.
Why am I arguing? Go for it. Embrace the bee. If it was Brundlefly, it'd have to be just like Maddie B. It's not doesn't roll off the tongue as easily, but I'll take it. Maddie B. If you've got a better alternative than Maddie B, text into us on this number We don't have a number yet. But we will have a website soon where they can submit questions. So maybe then they could tell us. What a good segue. I wish I'd paid for the domain yet, but I haven't. So, and I'm waiting on a couple of people to finish their homework. So.
Well, we can start adding merch. Get amongst the flowers.
It has to say on the front, get amongst the flowers, and on the back, I'm faster than the bee.
Get amongst the flowers is like an elite, like just little sort of theme for this show, I think.
I think so.
I felt like I was a little bit of a bully there.
I don't think so.
The tone.
Don't worry. I have foreseen that of the three of us, you will be the team bully. I see that in our future, but you haven't got there yet. I saw you flexing before. The three of us, you've got the guns. You were like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
I forgot the other day as well, and I caught myself in a mirror, and I was like, "Hello, must be lifting my giant 2-year-old and my tall, long, lanky 5-year-old."
Yeah, you're rocking both those kids. I've got the one still. So, although she was insane today. This is what the listeners pay for. They're like, oh, please talk more about your children. We're going to start the show with a segment which I imagine will become a regular and just talk about what we've been watching. So, Nick, Owen, what have you been watching lately?
Well, I thought I could start with something. Yeah, start with something new, and then I'll follow up with a classic banger from yesteryear. So, as followers of our Instagram page might know, I recently saw A Complete Unknown, which is the new film about Bob Dylan.
Nice.
Directed by James Mangold and starring Timmy Chalamet. I think Edward Norton is also in it. Elle Fanning. Oh my God, I really should have written the cast down. But it is fantastic. I really don't think you need to be like knowledgeable or a fan of Bob Dylan to like get into this film. So really recommend it for anyone. It's a really cool time period piece if you like 60s content as well. I really loved it. I'm trying not to do like a full-on review. And
my question is, I actually honestly don't know much about Bob Dylan like at all. I don't know how he hasn't entered my stratosphere of music listening or anything. But if I go in and watch this film, am I going to get a slightly rose-colored, impression of him? Am I going to walk away, using that as my first ever Bob Dylan point? Is that point of reference? Is that a good idea for me, or should I go and listen to some tunes first? Or
no, I would say that if you're talking about like how you would perceive the character of Bob Dylan, I think it's a pretty accurate retelling of like that he was a bit of an asshole, which he is in the film, and also the music. I was pretty astounded by how lucky they got with like Chalamet, who could actually sing the songs, and it's I feel like they've the songs have that like really similar spirit to the original, but they've just maybe modernized the production on it a tiny bit, which for our modern ears, it's probably just a little bit easier to listen. But I would say even if you don't know anything about Bob Dylan, really great watch. And Alicia and I recently stayed at an Airbnb with zero access to streaming, so we were restricted to free-to-air TV. And we came across Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which is just one of my all-time favorite movies. But I thought it was just mentioning here. What a banger! It just like always just hits really hard, that one, with Sean Connery as well. My personal favorite of the Indiana Jones franchise.
Really? I think I knew this actually. I think we've talked about it, and my reaction was the same.
That's my favorite too.
Is it really?
That's my favorite too.
I was about to
I got
ask.
a thing for Sean Connery. Have you seen him in Entrapment? Like, I got a thing for that silver fox.
No, but I have seen him in what's that Nicolas Cage one?
The Rock.
The Rock, yeah, when he's just got some outrageous lines. Have you seen that, Maddie?
No, but I love Crazy Cousin Cage. I'm going to put that on my list.
I feel like at some point on the show, we've talked about off air that we're going to do some deep dives. I feel like we're going to have to do a whole Cage season. Like we're going to have to just like either do the entire filmography, which is a descent into madness, or just pull some greatest hits. But I think we got to do The Rock. We've got to do Con Air.
Yeah.
Mandy is a must if you guys haven't seen Mandy. Snake Eyes, I think we need to get into.
Well, hang on then. You need to put one of the romance in there. What's the one where he plays the angel with Meg Ryan?
Is it
What's that one?
City of Angels? And
Yeah, probably. Well, then we have to do a soppy one. Come on.
yeah, okay, done.
Yeah, that's my compromise.
Mandy's
Also,
a romance. He goes
I feel like
to
there
save his wife.
was a
Oh.
few years there where he was churning out 3 or 4 films a year, so I didn't definitely not have the time to watch his whole back catalogue, but
We can pick some. We can pick some sprinkles, some highlights.
So wait,
so yeah,
what
that's
was,
what I've been
I was,
watching.
I was like, what did you watch again? Like The Rock? And I'm like, no, it was his Last Crusade. I got confused for a second. Nice one. What about you, Maddie? What have you been watching?
Well, on the topic of Sean Connery, I watched First Night with Richard Gere and Sean Connery, and it's like a Camelot, Lancelot, Guinevere, Camelot. And I can't believe you two have never seen it, but that's some homework, because if you want to have some swoony time, swoon, 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 and there's some really great like kissy scenes, and they're like not shit kisses, they're good, like, oh, good tension kisses, and there's like a Sean Connery big like man beardy gruffy Sean Connery kiss, and like holy fuck, it's a great film. And
I'm
it's
sorry, like I'm seeing a very this is the first episode, and I'm seeing a very different shade of Maddie than I've ever seen before. She's checking herself out in the mirror. She's looking at her sexy kisses. You made another comment before we started recording. I can't remember what it was. I was like, "This is adult."
hey, I'm doing all different genres, and this is the genre that I'm knee deep in at the moment. All right?
I've got my own show now. I have my platform. I'm horning it up a little bit. Sorry, guys.
Look, I'm just going to objectify those men, and let me tell you, this film, they are very pretty to look at, and I'll find a picture of it and I will send it to you, because there is one of the knights of the round table, and he is very pretty, and he gets like one line in the whole film, but in every scene I like try and find him because he's very pretty. He's got very pretty mustache, very pretty beard, and I'm not into like either of those, but man, he's pretty. But it's like
it's a
the
rare
stories are good, like what?
Oh, sorry, Maddie. Sorry.
No, go, tell me.
It's a rare like blank spot, because like I'm usually pretty into like Arthurian, like that kind of period. Like I've seen most of them, but yeah, just had not even come across this. But I'm looking at the cast.
Do you like Man in the Iron Mask?
Yeah.
And like Robin Hood? Okay, so it's like a little bit lighter than those, but definitely like Man in the Iron Mask style of film, style of sort of action, style of sword fighting. It's kind of close to that, and it's fun, and it's balanced between there's this old disgruntled knight who's left Malagant, and he's left Arthur, and he's trying to wage war again against Camelot. And then so we've got that as the undertone, and then like 50-50 balance, it's like the sexual tension basically between Guinevere and Lancelot. So it's a good it's a good balance. And yeah. I'm gonna go with like as yes, but only as violent as like Man in the Iron Mask is violent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a familiar face in the cast. Liam Cunningham.
Yeah, from Game of Thrones.
Agravain, and he's the Onion Knight in Game of Thrones.
I was gonna say the Onion Knight.
And who was it, James? I sent you a screenshot. Who oh my goodness. I sent you a screenshot of old mate British comedian who was just he's not even
Rob Brydon.
Like, yes. He's not even credited in it, but he's in it for like 2 or 3 sort of close-ups.
Yeah, nice.
So it was cool seeing him as like an extra, just like hanging out. So yeah, I was doing that one. Loved it.
Before we do, I just want to jump in because Nick mentioned he's into Arthurian stuff. Have you seen Excalibur?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Cool. Because I picked that up overseas. Never seen it before, and that is a great flick as well. So,
I think, sorry, just absolute deep cut, but like, do you remember like our Hidden Gems podcast, James, from like a few years ago? Maddie, have you ever seen this 2-part telly movie called, I think it's like Merlin or something like that? With Sam Neill?
No. Give it to me right away.
Maddie, it was like a television event when, and like I know I've got a couple of years on you, but not that many. I'm not that much older than you. Like it was a television event. Yeah.
Maybe it was the year I broke the TV at home.
If I'd have known
It's
you
got,
broke a
like-
television, you'd never be on this podcast.
I've broken a television, a microwave, and a toaster at my parents' house, and now my dad won't let me touch anything electric. All by accident. Like I don't know. Just I happened to be the one using it when it broke. Because also the TV was from like the 70s. It had like a pull knob and like
well, that might be on the
yeah,
television. That might not be on you.
I think so. Oh, I need this. Okay. Hang on. So
Yeah.
who was Sam Neill playing?
Merlin.
Okay.
So it, like,
And are we
follows, like,
looking
that-
at like is there a young Arthur in it or an older Arthur in it?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
testing my knowledge.
It's young. It follows Arthur. Well, it follows Merlin through Arthur's life,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
like it's got an absolute stacked cast. Like,
Yeah,
so, like,
Helena
Martin
Bonham Carter's
Short's in
Morgan
it.
Le Fay, for example.
Mm.
Um,
Okay, well, just from those two alone, I'm looking that up. Then that sounds sick.
I'll also read the cast. You tell me when you don't know who I'm talking about. Helena Bonham Carter, Sam Neill, Rutger Hauer, James Earl Jones, Miranda Richardson, Isabella Rossellini, Martin Short, Lena Headey, and now
Who's
we're going
Martin Short in it?
Rick.
he plays like a little, like, I don't know, what is he, like a fairy dude? He's
Like an
like,
imp or something, or
an imp. He's like the agent of Helena Bonham Carter. Like, he's like, he does her bidding
Ooh.
kind of thing. But he's like on the bad side, but he's got like a heart of gold kind of thing.
He's playing Martin Short as the fairy. Got it. Yeah.
He's playing. Did you guys ever see? Is it A Simple Wish with Mara Wilson?
I loved that movie. I had it so
Martin
much on
Short's like a
VHS.
fairy
I've ruined it.
godfather, but he's failed.
He's like a failed guide dog, except he's a fairy godmother. It's amazing.
It's a good film, and he was also Clifford. I don't know if you ever saw that. That's an insane movie. Oh, okay. Yep, good. It's oh my god. If you haven't heard of this one, Nick, Clifford, Martin Short plays like a 12-year-old boy, but he's clearly in his 30s, and like it's like a Dennis the Menace, like problem child-esque style movie in which he's obsessed with trains and just messing up his like stepfather's life. It's pure insanity.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the photo of it now on IMDb. He looks like a mannequin or something.
My only memory of that movie is I watched it, I loved it, and then I went outside. I was at my friend's house, and I went out the front and I threw up from having too much yogurt, and that's my memory of Clifford. That's the one.
Oh my goodness. He does look like a mannequin. That hair. Oh.
Okay, so Maddie watched something first night.
Yeah. And then I meant to say also I watched The Bike Riders with Austin Butler and Tom Hardy.
How was that?
I really enjoyed it, except at the time of watching it, we were like, oh, come on, go somewhere, lead somewhere, do something. And we were sort of, I don't know, kind of like antsy the whole way through, being like, come on, ramp it up a bit. Like, what's going on? And it's only in like the last sort of 10 minutes that like some sort of, whoa stuff kind of goes down. So during watching it, I was like, I don't know if I like this, but I'm continuing, but I don't feel like turning it off. And now that I'm like 2 weeks down the track and I haven't seen it in 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, I liked it.
Nice.
So, yeah, it felt it was really, really gorgeously done in that it's based off, a journalist who wrote a book following this bikie club, and how it evolved from like a legitimate club where they just sort of raced their motorcycles and, built their own choppers and whatever, and how it evolved into like gang culture. And so you kind of move through the story almost like you're moving through a coffee table book where you're turning a page and seeing these really interesting photos of these really interesting characters, and you're only getting like snippets about them, and then you keep turning the page and you get new people and new people and new places, and then you're back to having a few different pictures of those original people that you've seen before, and you get a little bit more of a reveal, sort of, but you're just like leisurely turning pages. That's how I can feel how the story sort of felt to me, just sort of, I don't know if it's like I'm just too used to sort of bikey culture being really in your face, rough and violent, and this was like simmering and slow, and yeah, it had some really good moments. My one critique, I know we don't like to hate on films, but
you guys are welcome
Butler,
to. I try not to, but you guys are welcome to. Like that might be the dynamic this show is missing. Pure rage fueled hate.
Austin Butler what is it? Austin Butler and Jodie Comer. Their characters are meant to be like in love, like love at first sight almost. And there is no moment in the film where they ever even like go near each other, really hold hands, sneak a kiss, have a nice look at each other. There's one scene where like they're sort of sitting next to each other while he's sort of recovering from an injury, and they're sitting next to each other watching TV, and you may as well have told me they're like cousins. That's the only thing that I was like, I'm not buying this. Like, that was the only
I
thing
wouldn't
that
say
was
that's
just
being negative or anything like that. I think that's fair. Like, that's an observation.
But
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
weird, it's
it's
weird
worth a
like
watch.
that, like, isn't it? Because like you'd think that's like if you're putting together like a script or casting, you'd build out from the central relationship and make sure that's the part that you nail. But
they're not. They're definitely not the central relationship. The central relationship is Austin Butler and Tom Hardy. Like, they're the dynamic that you're watching sort of grow, or them have each other's backs, and that's definitely the central relationship. She's sort of on the outer side of the whole bike culture. She's the newcomer, really. But yeah, the whole time David and I were like, can they look at each other? Can they hold hands? What the fuck? Anyway. And so, yeah, those are the two main ones that I have watched recently. And then some other things that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, cool. I just was looking at my list, and I'm closing in on 90 movies for the year. So
good effort, James.
Oh my gosh.
So I won't talk about all of the ones that I watched. There's one I did watch that we'll talk about later, because we both watched an Academy Award nominated film, which would have been a really good segue if I had said that at the end of this bit. But anyway, we're still figuring out the dynamics. So I'll talk about something I watched quite recently, a couple of things I watched quite recently, and I'll talk about something a little bit older, because Nick was on my Best of 2024 episode. And since recording that episode, I've watched almost all of the remaining ones, and my list is almost entirely different. So I'll talk about something that I watched post that. So the two I'm going to talk about are actually not mainstream releases. The first film I watched that I'll talk about is a short film called Liquor Bank. I actually did a review for this the other day. It hasn't been released to the public yet, but the filmmakers actually reached out to me because they like our page. And it's a short film, and it's based on a true story about a veteran, like a war veteran who's now suffering PTSD and is an alcoholic. And so just a 15-minute short, and they're about to embark on the festival circuit. But that was fantastic. That was a really great short film. Really, pardon the pun, but really sobering. Really quite intense. But what I really liked about it was that it just felt like a very normal conversation. Like, it looked like you could have told me the director just like plopped a camera down in front of two real people and left. And that's what the flick was. It was really interesting. So we should all have access to the film. I've got to double check if I'm allowed to give you guys access to it, but I can give you guys, we can all watch it and talk about it later.
Yes, please. I love a short film where you can really get straight into sort of genuine interactions. And I know you love dialogue. And so if it's really if it's really honest, genuine, believable back and forth dialogue, hell yeah.
Yeah. And then the second flick I watched this week was another one that's been released independently. It doesn't have any studio backing. It's available right now on YouTube. Anyone can go and watch it. And it's called Edge X, one word, the word edge with the letter X at the end. And actually, we're going to have the filmmaker on the show. I'm interviewing him this weekend to talk about his film. But it's kind of like his own take on Requiem for a Dream. So it's kind of like follows a few stories of people in varying stages of drug addiction and drug abuse, and kind of like those who are too far gone to get out, and those who are trying their best to kind of keep treading water, and can they survive and get past it. And I think it was shot in a budget like $6,000. That's what IMDb said. Hopefully he'll be able to give me some more goss there. But for what it is, like it's over 2 hours. Like, it's a long flick.
Wow.
Yeah, like but it's free to watch. It's on YouTube right now. And the performances are really good. Like, there are some like pretty tough to watch moments. Like, because it's on YouTube, it just like, if you open up the app on the TV, just keep going. And Zoe came home from kinder the other day, and she turned on the TV. I was like, no, it's not that one. Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's really dark. But one thing I really liked about it, because I don't know if I'll ever watch Requiem for a Dream again. Like, that's a pretty brutal flick. But this film did have kind of scatterings of remorse and, and the idea of like looking for redemption, which I feel is not what Requiem for a Dream is. That's a pretty bleak film that has no hope in it whatsoever, whereas this did kind of shine that light. So listen out for that interview. That'll come out in a couple of weeks' time. But in the meantime, if you're interested in something a little bit darker, a little bit different, like Edge X, I would 100%. Well, I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But if you don't mind going into the darkness a little bit, I think it's worth a try. So that was
That sounds excellent, James. I'm looking forward to checking that out.
that's a pretty good one as well. And then I'll touch on one thing I watched a few weeks ago, just so I'll do a quick revision to my 2024 list, because I would probably replace at least 7 of the flicks that are on my top 10 list now. But sorry, what was that?
I was laughing that you're replacing that many already. That's good. I'd say that's progress. That's fine.
Because I had 10. Like Nick and I recorded at the end of December, and then in January I watched pretty much everything else. Like I finally watched The Substance, for example. I finally watched Anora. I don't know if Anora would be on my top 10, but I did quite enjoy Anora for what it was. But the flick I'm going to talk about, the one that I can't stop thinking about, is a movie called The 4:30 Movie. I've talked about it quite a lot on social media. I'm pretty obsessed with it, and not even the film itself, just the feeling this movie gives me. So it's the latest film from Kevin Smith, which won't surprise anyone because everyone knows I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. But basically, it's set in the 80s, and it's kind of a semi-biographical piece. It's about a teenage boy who, at the start of the film, plucks up the courage to call a girl he has a crush on and ask her to go see a movie with him. And then the whole rest of the movie is just the adventure of that day, trying to get to 4:30 so he can be with her, and like kind of what happens along the way, kind of sneaking into theaters with your friends, getting kicked out of the movies, and all the shenanigans that happen. But I can see the criticisms of the film. Like, it does feel a little bit disjointed. It doesn't have a kind of a beginning, middle, and end in that usual kind of 3-act structure, but it's not really about that. It's more about just the journey itself. But like the score is so quintessentially 80s. Like Bear McCreary, who does the music for The Walking Dead and a bunch of other stuff, did the music, and it's so vividly 80s and fun, and like it's just very sweet, and like kind of the idea, like it makes me think back to when I was a teenager and I had crushes on girls and how I wanted to go to the movies with my friends and hopefully take a girl to the movies and stuff as well. And it's just a love letter to that experience, and I really enjoyed it. So most of the lead actors, they're relatively new on the scene, but it's got Ken Jeong in it, so he plays the theater manager.
I'm just looking at a clip, and I can see his face, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's someone of sort of semi-authority here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's great in it. Genesis Rodriguez is in it. Adam Pally is in it. There's a few like kind of bigger names in as well, but it's a really wonderful film, and I've watched it twice in the last month, and that might not sound like a lot, but I very rarely rewatch the same film twice in a year, and I watch it like a week apart from each other. So that's my jam, and I've got the score on my phone at the moment, so I'll always like kind of hit that 80s score when I'm going for a run or going for a drive. So 4:30 movie, I would recommend that to people. I really enjoyed it. And I watched like 80 other movies, but I won't talk about all of them now.
Well, you talk about you brought up the Oscars before. Do we want to do a jump straight into Oscars time?
Let's talk about it. It is Oscars week. The Oscars have come and gone. Now we didn't talk about the Oscars before we started recording, or even in the lead up to the podcast. Nick, I know you will dabble from time to time, but Maddie, are you a huge viewer of the Oscars, or you could care less, or kind of what's your opinion on the whole award circuit?
I'm sort of. I really, really wish I could watch them live. My problem is it's on, because of the time difference. I'm basically at school trying to avoid spoilers, but I would like to watch it. And there's some years where I can have a look at what's nominated, and I haven't seen enough to sort of really go into it. And there's other years where there's just some really great actors that I admire, even if I haven't seen their work. So, for instance, like Adrian Brody with The Brutalist. I don't know anything about it really, but I really love his work and his choices, and so I kind of wanted to watch just based on like I like his work, I like his choices, I like his collaborations. I have seen Wicked, and I have seen Real Pain, so at least I've seen two of the sort of things that were in there. I wish I could have watched it, but I didn't. I've only seen whatever snippets social media have deemed click worthy. Nice. I suppose.
I was very lucky. I work from home most of the time, so I just had my phone up, had the Channel 7 app on, and just had it on the background while just designing lessons and stuff like that. So it worked out okay. I think I just realized that might be the most snippet of my job I've given out. I try to be pretty on the DL about that. So before I get to Nick's opinions and thoughts, was there any? It sounds like you weren't super engaged with it this year. Was there anyone you were kind of hoping would win? Were there any disappointments or upsets for you?
Um, uh, Not really. Because I hadn't seen the films, and I hadn't been
Mm,
watching, the BAFTAs. Was it the BAFTAs before, and then the SAG Awards were a little bit
mm,
before? Like, I haven't been keeping up this season enough to be invested one way or the other.
mm,
Um, but I was interested to see that the Substance and Anora were getting um, nomination after nomination after nomination after
mm.
nomination. So I was like, okay, there's something there. But the more I heard other people talking about, especially the Substance, I realized it's not a film that I really want to see, or I'm not ready to see yet, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't
So
know
I,
if you're into body horror, like it's pretty kind of standard stuff. But I remember Nick and I talked
yeah.
about it. Nick watched The Substance. I don't think you're really a
Mm.
fan, were you, Nick?
I mean, like body horror is just not really my go.
Mm.
But I thought it was really interesting to see a genre film like that kind of go all the way to sort of to be a Best Picture nominee and have
Especially with
like
the final 3 minutes of that movie.
yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, like it was. I thought it was just okay. So,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
it's with the Oscars more broadly. It's probably been like a while since. Like I remember, like back in the day, like 10 years ago, I'd like tune in and watch it, and I kind of like really set my watch by what
Mm,
happened. They'd be like, "Oh, they must be the best movies." But I think what's happened lately is it's been a little while since like I've felt like the film that's won the best picture is like something that I've really enjoyed or something I'd go back to, year after year. So it's more just something I keep an eye on now rather than like really closely follow.
yeah.
Um,
Mm.
I
I
think,
think I noticed as well as as the sort of curtain has lifted with the mechanics behind nominations and actually people actually have to sort of campaign almost for
mm,
wins and just all these sort of strange voting biases and
Mm,
like as you become a mature adult and we start to notice these things and understand these things a bit more, I've become less sort of really wanting to
mm,
watch them and really, really invested in
mm,
results.
mm.
I'm not invested in really results anymore. um,
yeah.
Well, I
And
think
then,
one
I
of the bit
do
in
enjoy
sorry.
I do always enjoy, um, I think hearing after things have happened, and then if
Mm,
people are sort of general consensus is sort of simmering over the results or really happy with the results, I find that's when I almost get pushed to go watch some of the films.
mm,
mm,
Or like, yes, that deserved to win, and I'm like, oh, I didn't see
mm,
that, so I will. Or when people go, what, that shouldn't, why is that even nominated? And I find that actually is now swaying me more to engage
mm.
with the films themselves rather than the original nominations. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for
I
sure.
agree. And it's cool when smaller films like Honora do win like the best picture because hopefully it does drive a whole lot more people who may not have seen it, may not be aware of it, to go check it out. Myself included because I haven't seen that one.
I I like. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day because I was watching it live while I was working, and we were chatting while it was going on. We were going through every award together, having a bit of a chat. And with Anora, like I said I've been very clear about. I think my review went up recently. I like it. I don't know whether like it felt like a really edgy pick for the Oscars. I feel like almost it was chosen because it is so risque. I think that like the Oscars, like, oh, this will make it like this will be an edgy pick for us. So I didn't necessarily think it was the best picture of the year, but I love him. I'd never seen any of his stuff before, but his speeches, I'm like, I will buy a ticket to every movie this guy makes now because he's so hardcore about indie film and seeing film in theaters and stuff like that. Like he really cares about the craft. I'm like, that's enough for me. Like you made me love your movie more because you made me love you. Um, so, so did you end up watching the Oscars, Nick? And did you have any kind of horses in the race, as it were?
I I didn't like I was working, so I was just kind of had it like a live updates thing on my work
Yeah.
computer, so I could kind of refresh and see kind of as the awards went through. Um, Look, I felt like this was the year that June Part 2 needed to win for that franchise to get any recognition. I think it's a really awesome franchise, and the first one is probably too sci-fi to get recognition. The second one was really, really great. And then when they go ahead and make Dune Prophecy, I think it's just too weird for people to enjoy it, for it to get any sort of love. So I was a bit disappointed. I think it did pick up a couple of the below the line. Two. I don't have them exactly what they are, but I'd imagine it'd be like sound design and maybe like something like that.
Something like visuals or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was now, but they won something.
Yeah. But I thought that Timmy would have been also a fine winner. But I can see why. Like he's like, what is he, like 25 or 26 or something like that? So there's an argument.
He's 29. Yeah, he's 29, okay. And they were saying if he won this year, then he would have matched Adrian Brody's 29-year-old for the youngest winner of whatever best support, best actress or best actor or whatever. He's got heaps. He's got so far to go. Exactly.
I know.
It's interesting we make that point, but then Mikey Madison wins, and she's the youngest nominee in the bunch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then
she's a breakout. She's like, yeah.
But she's not. She's been in her debut was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood like 6 years ago. She's been doing films for over half a decade. Like she was in that. She's in one of the Scream movies. She's been in a bunch of stuff. And that's why I was so excited to see her in a lead role, because I really liked her in the stuff I've seen her in before. In fact, there was a video that came out recently, and all of the Manson kids from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood have now gone on to have careers, because it was Austin Butler, Sydney Sweeney, Mikey Madison, Maya Hawke. Like, if you look at all of them, it's all before they broke, and then like they're all like in these major films now. That's pretty fun. Sorry, Nick, I didn't mean to step on you there, man.
No, that's okay. Look, the only other one that it would have been great to see was Ralph Fiennes for Conclave. But
have you seen Conclave?
No, okay. No. But that probably would have been like it's your time, because you've been around for a while and you're a really great actor, so we just give you an Academy Award. But no, that was probably, got to be honest, like looking at the films that were nominated, Anora I haven't seen. I saw The Brutalist, saw Complete Unknown, and saw Dune 2. I think, and The Substance, sorry, but that's it for me. So that's like less than 50% of the overall films that were nominated. So
it seems like between us that we've seen most of them, because I have seen Anora, I've seen Wicked, I've seen The Substance, I've seen Conclave, I've seen Dune.
So between Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, I've seen those as well.
Me too.
Conclave was, to me, when I finally watched it, I was like, this looks like, that was the medicine movie for me. I was like, oh, this is going to be a tough watch. It looks kind of like, I wasn't thrilled by the poster. It looked kind of boring. It's my favorite of the nominees. It's really good. Conclave. I actually think that should have won Best Picture. It's kind of insane what they do with that story, and it's just like, it's a detective story, except that your detective is a guy who's in the running to become Pope, and Ralph Fiennes is playing your detective. So yeah, but I'm not disappointed that Anora won. I think the only thing I was disappointed by was Ariana Grande missing out on best supporting actress. I've seen a couple of those movies. I haven't seen Emilia Perez. It's not available here at the moment. Zoe Saldana, I think, was always going to win an Academy Award. I don't think it was a question of if, it was a question of when. But I don't know if Ariana's going to have another bite of that apple. And I do think of the ones I've seen, I think she was the best performer. So that was a bit of a bummer. But Wicked Part 2 comes out in 10 months, so maybe she'll get another go next year.
Yeah. I say, did I have another horse in the race? Sorry, back to your question, James. Did I have another horse in the race? I would have loved to have seen Guy Pearce win an Oscar for The Brutalist. He is great in the film, but I just think he has always been such a great actor, and I think he kind of gets overlooked a little bit. Would have been awesome recognition for a pretty cool career.
It is crazy. So has he never won before? Is that?
No, I don't think he's ever been nominated.
That's insane. Like, if you think about like Memento and was he in Swordfish? He was in Swordfish, wasn't he? With Hugh Jackman?
Yeah.
And The Hard Way.
it's not LA Confidential. What's the one with Kevin Spacey where he's Kaiser Soze? I just can't think of
Oh,
the name.
Usual Suspects.
Yeah, Usual Suspects.
He's been in a ton of stuff. That is crazy. He's never been nominated. I will say, having seen A Real Pain, Kieran Culkin kills it. It was a bit of a shame actually, also to see Jesse Eisenberg not walk away with Best Original Screenplay, because I think it's a really tight script. Because if you watch that flick, it feels like it's improv half the time. It's so natural, that dialogue. It doesn't even feel like it was written, but he's gone. If you know anything about Jesse Eisenberg, he has meticulously gone in and chosen every single word and phrase correctly there. But that was it. I didn't really have any. I thought it was a very kind of non-offensive show. I thought Conan did a great job. I thought he was a good host. There's a couple of good jokes in there, taking pot shots at people, which I quite liked. And they cut out the musical numbers, which I actually didn't hate. Normally I don't mind watching the musical numbers, but I think last year you had Ryan Gosling do "I'm Just Ken." How do you follow that? That was such a huge moment in Academy Awards history, and all the songs that people wanted to hear this year were Bob Dylan songs and Wicked songs, and none of them are eligible because they're not originals. So I'm sure they were what are they going to do? Amelia Perez? I shouldn't criticize the film because I haven't seen it, but apparently it is a bit of a stinker. So I'll have to go check it out at some point.
I
think you're right. It was nice that they were doing musical numbers that were meaningful rather than just for fill or for fluff. It was nice. A bit more intention behind them.
What were you going to say, Nick?
I was just going to say, it's already a 4-hour broadcast. They've got to keep it snappy, otherwise people will tune out, I reckon.
It didn't feel and maybe because I had on the background while I was working, but it didn't feel as long as some of them, because it's generally you start getting to the technical categories and it does feel like a bit of a dip. And that's no disrespect to those categories, but once the famous people go away, I think a lot of people do kind of tune out a little bit. But it moved quite quickly. I thought it was well paced. There's some good little gags in there, like Ben Stiller got stuck on a lift. No, that's Adam Sandler.
Sorry, yeah.
Adam Sandler's wearing the hoodie. That was a fun gag as well. I thought it was well done. I think it was one of the better ones in a while. So, yeah. Well, we mentioned it. We should maybe have a quick talk about it. Maddie and I saw separately A Real Pain. I sent you a little message as well, Nick. I was like, hey, if you want to watch A Real Pain, it's out there. What do you think of A Real Pain, Maddie?
So I feel like from my context, not I'm biased, but
I did wonder.
Yeah.
When I messaged you the other day, you were like, I'm on it. I'm like, of course you are. I figured you probably would be.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in history and Europe and things like that. But also my background is I'm from Poland. I'm a second generation immigrant. So I'm basically in the same position that David and Benji are. I'm their third generation, but I'm second generation from Poland. My grandmother, my babcia, is 93 and she's still kicking it, and she lived in Krakow, in World War II. She fled Poland. So I wouldn't say I enjoy watching those films, but I am drawn to those films for sort of cathartic and guilt and curiosity and those sorts of reasons. So coming as a second child of an immigrant from Poland, I did want to watch it. But also I was a little bit more emotionally impacted. I was watching with my husband as well, and I was pissing him off just a little bit. I think he was giggling and finding it funny, but I think the joke got a bit stupid after a while. For the listeners that don't know, I've been a ballerina for 23 years of my life, like legit ballet. And so anytime any of those piano pieces came on, which is the backdrop and the motif to that film, my body went straight into oh, this is the plie step at the bar. Oh, this is our, our rondons. This is our allegro in the center. I couldn't help but either twitch my feet, or I would stand up and I would do the steps. And David was like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, it's ingrained. And there was just so many songs that I couldn't help but hum or this light just sparked back up in me, and it was so joyful but also like sorrowful because my ballet principal passed away about 18 months ago, and she's been my mentor, my close, almost another surrogate grandmother figure for those 23 years that I was at ballet and beyond when I retired and still was part of the ballet school. And so my brain just kept going to all these ballet steps, and then her, and she'd passed away, and my Polish grandmother, and then watching just the performances that were happening just so beautifully. So I was sort of, I feel like I'm bringing a bit more to viewing that film than your average Joe. Um, but in general, like I've written notes about it to make sure that I'm remembering and feeling, the right way about it. Um, but I was saying there was no big, grand, huge moments. You were traveling almost with them, and there were these like fleeting moments of connection and trust between the characters. They were like tiny little firecracker moments between characters that weren't big, that weren't dwelled upon, that moved on quickly. Little bits of sort of humanity like colliding between these characters in these conversations almost, and all the conversations were always brought up through the setting that they were in. The setting would sort of lead where the conversation was going to go. I loved the color treatment. So the color treatment of the film was very just authentic to like Europe and sort of, I don't know, not even midsummer, but sort of, I don't know, just a bit sort of desaturated, but comforting, but natural. I thought Jesse Eisenberg, I'm normally used to Jesse Eisenberg being really, really fast, really neurotic. You kind of have
neurotic
to
is the word I.
yeah, like neurotic. You kind of have to sort of, it's almost like a kid with a shopping trolley running through the shops and you're running after him being like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck. But like, but this time he sort of was a little bit slower, a little bit more considered. And David was like, oh, look at this. Jesse Eisenberg's on medication finally. Like, he's anxiety meds to slow him down. And yeah,
Is
and
that
Kieran,
is that
I've
because
sort of written,
he has
yeah,
like an
go on.
equally neurotic, fast talking person co-starring in the movie though?
Yes. So the first sort of my note is the first impression of Kieran's character Benji. It felt a bit like Galifianakis in Hangover. A bit of bounce, a bit of swagger, a bit of like charisma. He felt a bit sort of Galifianakis. And then I was saying, but the nervousness and the charisma sort of settles throughout the film. And I said he becomes not like a violent ocean ebbing and flowing, but more like the boat itself, drifting and floating, rocking, bobbing all at once. His character, it just seems more like a boat. It's being bashed around by the ocean around him, or when the ocean's calm, he's sort of bobbing and charismatic, or when they go to, the concentration camps, he's deeply sorrowful and affected. Like you watch him almost being knocked about by everything that's going on around him. And so there's gorgeous moments where he's charismatic and you love him. And then there's moments where you want to apologize to the other characters
Yeah,
about how they're
like
behaving. Like
the
it makes
the
you hurt. You want to
graveyard
say
scene.
sorry.
Like,
Yes.
jeez. Um,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. There's a
the
scene where he just sort of he derails the tour guide, and you can see he really shakes the tour guide's confidence. And he's got a point and he's got a right to do it, but the way he does it is with sort of such like fervent intensity that it's really sort of abrupt for the poor tour guide, and you just want to stand there and be like, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. And
do
that's
you
what Jesse
think?
Eisenberg's character does all the time. He sort of
Yeah.
looks at all the others and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Do you think that moment was undercut by the punch? Because there's a punchline to that, like at the end of the tour. I don't know if you remember.
Oh my God, I felt so bad. Yes, at the end of
Yeah,
the tour guide's like, oh, thank you so much for that. You've given me actual real feedback to go on after all these years. And then, like, Kieran's bouncing around. He's like, oh, that's great, man. What did I say?
yeah.
Like, insignificant. It was a throwaway comment by that point to him, apparently.
And I
But,
wasn't
oh, it meant
sure
so much.
if it was that or
Oh,
because they'd been consuming so many drugs, if he'd literally just forgotten he'd even had the outburst. Um,
oh, no idea. But yeah, when he just sort of,
there are a
and
couple of
also like,
almost every outburst does have a punchline because there's that train scene, which is also quite stressful, and the punchline on that is hilarious. I was like, oh my god, that's so funny.
It suddenly becomes full circle where they don't mind being hypocritical and they have a good giggle about being absolute fucking wankers, like hypocrites, and it's just all like, oh well. No, I was saying, David and I were talking about how we would encourage people to go see it, but make them understand how they're going to feel. And he was saying something really clever. He said, it's really, really great. He says, it's like a really, really good paper cut. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, it's like, you know, when you get a really good paper cut, like it's subtle, but it's painful. And you sit there wondering, like, why does this little fucker hurt so much? Why is this really starting to bother me? And then years later, you just always remember that paper cut. And you're like, oh, so like, it's not like bad. It's not like upsetting, but it sort of is just this subtle sting of a thing that just sits with you and stays with you. And for me personally, it will just sit with me because of just my external biases. But yeah, it was really like a subtle sting, but a good one. When you wanna sort of unpick and unpack a little bit, pull those threads a little bit. And I think Kieran did deserve the Oscar for that.
They're both really good in it. To me, it felt almost like a documentary. Like there are times where it's almost, again, like I was talking about Liquor Bank before, and it's the same sort of thing. It feels like at times Jesse Eisenberg was like, just put the camera on one of us and just let us talk, like, and then the story will kind of do its own thing, because the dialogue is so natural, like it is so, and like the characters are so impulsive and frenetic, where it's like, well, that is human behavior, like, and you're
there's moments where Kieran Culkin like giggles and laughs at things, and they're just so like. They're just so perfect.
Yeah.
They're just so perfect, those moments. And the way he laughs and giggles at things, you're like, I wonder if they only like rehearsed that not even once. They just said they were going to do it and then rolled the camera. There's some really gorgeous little giggles.
And I agree with you on Jesse Eisenberg. I think it's one of his most restrained performances. Like he tends to lean into the neurotic quite a bit. If you look at The Social Network, if you look at Adventureland, if you look at Zombieland, those sorts of things, and like if you want to really crank up the dial, like Batman v Superman, I think that's like Eisenberg is most unhinged. This is a much more restrained performance, but he does have that moment as well where he breaks, like at the dinner table, and again on the rooftop at the end of the film, and that's just deliciously Eisenberg. Like that's what I pay for my ticket for, like for that. But I think it's a wonderful film. Like I think it's really charming and sweet. But yeah, you're right. Like David's analogy is quite good, like because it does hurt you. That I'm like, geez. And was I the only one who thought he was definitely trying to hook up with the divorcee? Like,
100%. When she's like, send me that photo of your grandma's house, you're like, look at that body language.
Yeah, I was like, are we going to cut to a scene of him hooking up with this woman? That's definitely what it felt like.
100%. You go, girl.
Yeah, exactly. And based on his Oscar speech, we know that Kieran Culkin is getting people pregnant. So
consensually,
absolutely. 100% recommend. It's on Disney Plus right now. So if you're in Australia, and it is a quick 90 minutes. There is no fat on that film at all. It just races.
Yes. Yeah, we put it on and we were like, hold on a minute, it's only 90 minutes long. Yeah, it still took us 2 nights to watch because, #parents, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you have to check it out and report back next time, Nick, and tell us what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's been on my list for a little while actually. Like I really like Jesse Eisenberg as an actor and as a writer. He was in a really cool series last year with Claire Danes, the name of which escapes. It was like a real funky named show. Fleischman's in Trouble.
Okay.
And it was like a really great character piece. They had recently separated and were just dealing with that with their 2 children. So yeah, as I said, been on my list for a little while, and you guys have obviously given it a great review. So the other thing, 90 minutes, that is music to my ears.
Yeah. It's a quick one, and like there's no fat. There's never a moment where you're like, geez, can this move on? Like every moment is deliberately impactful. Like you're like, and there's so much levity in it. Like because a film about visiting concentration camps and talking about the Holocaust could be quite taxing on the soul. It could be quite heavy. And there are definitely moments of that, but there's enough levity and kind of just rapport between these two guys that they give you that moment to consider the weight of what they're doing, and then they move on and give you a chance to take a breath, which is kind of rare for like most films that deal with the Holocaust and talk about it. Rightly so, not a lot of room for levity usually in films like that, but this one I think does a really good job of balancing it, and like focuses on what's important, lets it linger, but then also gives you that little break so you can have a bit of a chuckle and look at these crazy guys, trying to build their relationship as well. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, me too. I really liked it. It'll be one I'll probably return to again, maybe, second half of the year, just because.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have unfinished business, guys. This is going to come out left of field for people like, wow, they're leapfrogging all over the place today. I told you, first episode, frenetic. We're finding our footing. We have a lot to cover. The first time the three of us all got together, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now, I can't remember how long ago it was, we sat down and talked about the films of Christopher Nolan, everything from Memento moving forward. Pretty good. I think we did a pretty good job. We all seen most of the films pretty recently. There are a couple that we had to let someone else take the lead on, but there was one glaring omission, and that was a film that has not been available in Australia for as long as I can tell. But last year, while I was overseas, I did pick up the debut film of Christopher Nolan, a film that came out before Memento, a 70-minute noir black and white flick called Following, and we all sat down at Film Snob HQ and watched it. And I think it's only right that we talk about at least a little bit so we can throw our props out and complete our list from that Nolan episode. So I guess we should probably talk about what it's about first. It is hard to find. It's on Blu-ray in the UK, so if you want to watch Following, it's first of all definitely worth your time. Like, it was really enjoyable. I think you can see the gears in Nolan's mind working even back in 1998 or whenever it was created. Like, you can see hints of Inception in this film and other things as well. But basically, it's the story of this guy who's like, he's like, I can't remember what he was doing. He's kind of poor. He's kind of like, I think he just follows people just to kind of like learn about people. He just likes to people watch, but at a very intimate distance. And then he kind of befriends this guy who turns out to be a criminal, guy who just like pretends, like breaks into people's houses, steals their stuff. And then in true Nolan fashion, it becomes way more complicated and puzzle-like than you could expect. And I don't want to speak too much about the plot, because I think if you've never seen it before, it's worth going in pretty blind. But I was really impressed by this flick for a debut film. For a guy no one ever heard of, for a cast of unknowns. It's insane how early in his career he was doing all this sort of stuff. I thought it was really great.
I think I was going to say, Nick, even after watching, like, we've watched so many Nolan films, like, we're seasoned Nolan people, and we still managed to watch this one, and all of us were like, hang on. I remember us turning to each other being like, wait, is this? Yeah, that's that. Okay, hang on. Oh, we've got a different haircut. Okay, so we're in a different piece, different piece. Okay, we're in a different place. Like, even though we are seasoned people, like, it's not like he's got a set formula, but like, we should know better. We should have our like little ears pricked up a little bit better than we did. And all three of us were like, wait, okay, yeah, okay, no, clarification, yeah. And then we'd all like reach a distance of, yeah, that's that guy. Okay, cool. Oh, hey, there's the gloves again. Like, all three of us were sitting there like novices again. It was fun.
It was fun. And like, the funny thing is like, if you had said to me, like, imagine like the first film by Nolan, which was produced independently, and it's like him like starting out, like, this is exactly what I would have pictured as well. Like, you're right. Like, it's definitely like, it's him. It's like he has this kit bag, or things in his kit bag, of like unreliable narrators, non-linear timelines in his films. And like, you're absolutely right. Yeah, exactly right. Even down to like a character name, Cobb, which is like, probably like the funniest thing that I found in the film. I'm like, wait, did he say Cobb? He's like,
Cobb's back.
I don't know why it's funny to me. I'm like, is that like the best name that anyone could ever think of? Like, but yeah, you're right, James. It was really great, and I think it was pretty low budget, and I think that shooting in black and white does a really good job of masking that, and it
Mm.
kind of adds to our confusion as a viewer. And yeah, I don't know. It was. I don't know if I'll go back to it like the same way I do with other Nolan films, because there's like a polish and like a
Yeah.
sheen to his films. Like, because I think he's making like cinema at like, I mean, sorry, not that's not just my opinion. The three of us are pretty aligned on this, but like right at the top level.
Yeah.
But I did find it a really interesting like experiment to go back and just you can absolutely see where he's come from and him just like getting better and better at those techniques.
And I think it's like you see it like with these kind of auteurs and these kind of filmmakers who aren't just director for hire, for example, because there are some directors who are like wonderful filmmakers, but they're kind of director for hire. And then there are others who are very much like, I'm making all my own films. I've got this style, and you can kind of see it. Like if you look at Quentin Tarantino, there is no more Tarantino debut than Reservoir Dogs. If you look at Kevin Smith, like of course he made Clerks first, and of course it informed the work. If you look at Edgar Wright, if you look at Robert Rodriguez, like it seems like there's these '90s directors in particular. Like if you look at that first film they made, you can track the growth and the kind of the inspiration from film one. And now having seen Following, I'm like, well, yeah, Nolan's in that camp as well, which I don't think is a surprise to anyone. But having not seen it, I was going off Memento. I'm like, well, I guess Memento kind of leads into these. But looking at Following, I'm like, oh, like this is everything. I was shocked by how violent it was. I thought it was quite brutal for an indie film and for a guy who makes traditionally non-violent films. Like, even, like The Dark Knight, maybe the most violent thing he's done. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Because you got the Joker using knives and breaking pool cues and stuff like that. I'm trying to think if there's anything. I haven't seen Insomnia, so maybe that's more violent because that's got some serial killers and stuff. I was also shocked. I wasn't clutching my pearls or anything, but I was shocked at the amount of cursing that was in there. Like at one point, someone called someone the C word, and that caught me off guard. And we were all cackling like chickens. We were having a grand old time. We were just
We're
like,
like, did they really say that? Oh my goodness.
it was the delivery. It was like, oh, I don't know, maybe if you're up, and then use that word. I was like, this is great.
I think one of the things that I know it sounds really stupid, but one of the things that I keep thinking of, sometimes in cinema you just get such a like jarring sort of sensational picture. Like I can, sometimes when a character picks like something up and it's hot, like sometimes I can feel it being hot in my hand. Or in Dune when it's really, really the sand blasting them, I can kind of imagine the sand blasting my skin and that sensation. But there's a bit where they put gloves in the carrot. Cobb puts gloves in someone's mouth.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to stop thinking about it because when I see white gloves, I think of like cotton gloves, but they're like rubber, like latex. And the
Yeah.
thought of having like latex, like floppy fingered like, in my mouth, it's really kind of traumatized me, and it's stuck with me like top tier out of that film. The rubber gloves in the mouth has stuck with my like full body experience. And then secondly, the makeup on the blonde was sort of like, where are we going? How old are we supposed to be making her? What's going on with the style choices of the female? That stuck with me second because I just was questioning it.
Well, yeah, because
And
she
then
looks
third,
quite vintage Hollywood, didn't she? Like we even said, we're like, this could be set in the 50s. Like it had kind of this almost timelessness to it because of her makeup and her kind of fashion choices.
and it was very clear, like she was a model, and
Yeah.
in the film she's supposed to be a model, so she's got to be put together. She's not going to be a model of this era where they are fresh faced when they're not working and makeup on. Like it's stereo of the era that they're fully made up all the time. But yeah, that sort of stuck with me. And then what was I saying? The last thing that stuck with me was it really did bother me that the lead male didn't have a name. And it didn't bother me for most of the film, but when phone calls started happening and he'd just ring and be like, "Hi, it's me." And Cobb was like, "Okay." Like that sort of, it just started bothering me being like, wait, if we're calling each other on the phone, I want a name. I want to know. So I've just started calling him Creep. So it's Creep and Cobb.
And
Forever and ever.
Yeah.
Creep and Cobb.
And that film predates caller ID. So for those listening, you're like, but it just comes up on your phone. Not in the 90s, bro. None of this in the 90s.
Yeah, I really agree that does have a timeless feel. You can tell by the way they've dressed the characters. It's not specific, but at the same time, like this is kind of like a contradiction as I say it. It's also deeply rooted in it's a very 90s looking film. Like you can see in the apartments that they go in and rob, and like the bar that they're in, cafe. Yeah, it's very much of its time.
Yeah, all that was missing from that cafe was like Central Perk. That's.
But even the noises that are recorded while they're sitting there at the tables, the sound of the coffee cups hitting the table and people passing by, and that echo off all the surfaces in the cafe. Yeah, suddenly I was like, oh, I'm broken out a little bit, basically just at the cafe. But at everything else, I liked that when we were sitting there and they were going to all the different apartments, we were picking out all these cool images and artworks around the apartments. Like there was a Marilyn Monroe on the wall, and
was it Jaws or something?
Or Scarface? No.
There was like an 80s movie poster or a 70s movie poster.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like, yeah.
But there were these little, like, magazine clippings and photos and things on the walls that were from other films. And that was kind of fun, being like, oh, look. Like, we were kind of playing, like, Where's Wally Bingo, sort of. That was fun.
And I wonder if that was just Nolan just being like, I'm just going to put, like, some of my inspiration in here, just like a little nod to the people I like. Because I know there was, I can't remember which film it was. It was either Nightmare on Elm Street or Hills Have Eyes or something like that. Like they put a poster of a movie they liked, and then when the sequel came out, they put a poster of the one that referenced them. Like the filmmakers kind of tagging each other.
That's fun.
Yeah, like that sort of stuff I really like. I will revisit it. I know that you said, Nick, it's probably not when you'll go back to too often, but I think it's the kind of film where I'd have to be in the right mood for it, because even though it is short, it feels like an indie film. Like it's got the pacing of an independent film. Like I don't think any of us sat there and we're like, well, that was quick. Like because even though it's short, like it does have that Nolan complexity, which does kind of demand that attention of you. So, but I probably will revisit this one at least once every couple of years. I quite enjoyed it. I like seeing where he began, and what he was able to do with that film. Like that's kind of insane. Like if you think about it, like it's not a particularly large scale film, but there's a lot of complex ideas in that film, and there are a lot of locations. So for whatever the budget was, he did a lot with a little. Like it's quite impressive. So,
the last thing I was just having a flick through IMDb to see was there anyone in there that I recognized or whatever. But I do note with interest that Jeremy Theobald, who plays the main character in this film, also popped up in Batman Begins.
Oh, that's cool.
As his character name is Younger Gotham Waterboard Technician. I don't know who that would be in the film. And he's also in Tenet as a steward.
You know who that probably is? He's probably the guy at the end of Begins who's like, the pressure's going to blow. Like he's like one of those guys, like when they're like trying to shut the water mains down, but Liam Neeson's making everything explode. He's probably like one of those dudes.
Yeah, so he's obviously one of Nolan's guys, and he's happy to just pop him in things.
Well, it's like how Sam Raimi will always put Bruce Campbell in a flick. Like it doesn't matter what the movie is, Bruce Campbell's going to show up with his big old chin. So, you had a whole page of notes. Was there anything you want to add, Maddie, to your thoughts about following?
Oh, okay. So this page is basically a rant of thoughts. Like I've gone from like here to here to here to here to here to here, and I know you don't want to like go over the plot. So basically, there's things that give away the plot in my ranting of things that, like I was talking about. Okay, it's called following because it can't be called stalking, because it's called, if they call the film stalking, no one's going to watch it. And then I said it's basically stalking without the texting and the trench coats. And then I was like, but they do wear suits. And then in my tangent went to like, actually, that is funny because Cobb decided you don't want to look like a burglar. And so he's dressed in a suit. And then I'm like, hang on a fucking minute. Why are you wearing a full suit then? And then I'm like, oh, you're rubbing it in our faces what your actual job is basically later on. Oh, okay. And then I thought on the tangent, what a dumb word burglar is. It's so dumb to say. I'm a burglar. And then I'm like, what's another word for burglar? Robber. And I'm like, robber's a fucking stupid word too. And so now I'm trying to think of like a cool word for someone who robs people other than burglar or robber, because they both sound dumb.
I like grifter. That's kind of that's more of a con artist though.
Yeah, grifter makes me think of someone more like on the street.
Yeah.
Not like home invasions.
Someone who's playing like 3-card Monty or something.
Thief is cool.
Thief?
Thief.
Great movie.
Cat
And my
burglar.
brain went on a tangent that way for I was like, burglar just sounds dumb. And like robber sounds dumb.
It's that makes me think of I don't know how familiar you are with the comedy of Bill Bailey, but like he does this bit. This is years ago, like when he was first starting the scene. The difference between American cop shows and British cop shows is like when American cop shows, like, yeah, I got this AK-47, it's gonna riddle you with bullets. And he's like, but then you look at British cop shows, like he's got a shooter. Like that's like,
He's got a pop you one. He got a shooter.
he's got a bang bang. Like yeah. So
yeah.
anyway.
So my tangents went just sort of a bit all over the place. But I said I did like the black and white. I like the neo noir treatment. I said it fit well. It helped keep you in the story rather than distracted by setting. Even on the rooftops, I was like, okay, no, I'm still looking at the characters. I'm not looking around at the rooftops. And then, yeah, my notes right at the top is 5 minutes in, I started choking on popcorn and was really embarrassed that I was just coughing my head off with popcorn, and I couldn't stop thinking about the rubber gloves, and they're just haunting me.
Next time,
That's
put the
where my notes.
popcorn in a
And
rubber
I've drawn
glove.
pictures. I got pictures of popcorn and suits and telephones, and yeah, and these are just angry scribblings of popcorn. And that's Cobb. Do you like my Cobb picture with his hair? He looks like a cockatoo. Anyway,
He does look a cockatoo, a cockatoo.
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 There we go.
Apparently, it was made on a budget of $6,000.
Wow.
Not even pounds.
Over 12 months too. Was it filmed over 12 months?
Doesn't say here. Maybe.
But I thought, yeah,
respectable.
Yeah, and like I don't know, like how much they paid for locations and stuff, but like they really kind of capitalized on those decrepit-looking buildings. Like I believed that they were living in slums at times. I was like, yep, this is a well-used. I'm glad you got your location scouted out for this because this is looking good. Well, we're probably just about at the end of everything we'll talk about for this episode. There are a couple of things I want to leave on, but before I bring up my final thoughts and questions, does anyone have anything they want to bring to the episode? Anyone think you want to bring to the table? Yes, Maddie's putting her hand up like a student.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the people that replied and told me to finish watching High Life. I finished it, and I'm glad I finished it. So we don't have to talk about it, but I finished. I listened to you. Thanks. I finished it, and I'm glad I finished it.
That is an insane film. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild. But yeah, glad I watched it, and I will throw some other things back to people a bit more often like that because that was kind of fun to be spurred on by people.
You got, I think, the most responses out of any other. I knew that New Blood would like build engagement because you put up a video and people were commenting questions and like talking about facts and like this never happened before. I've got like 100 reviews up, and like as soon as
I can't wait then until the site goes live. We can have really cool stuff that we get to hear about.
Yeah,
it'll be cool.
You guys, your debut video has got some really good hits. The page has grown substantially in the last kind of 2 weeks. Like we've had almost 200 new followers in our listen account. Like our listen count, we're almost at 2,000 streams. It's things are growing in the right direction.
With Nick's raw sex appeal and my insanity, we've done great.
I'm glad you said it. I was thinking it.
Just let me know, James.
What do you have anything you want to bring to the episode today, Nick Owen? Was there any topics you wanted to cover?
No, I think that was it. Happy to just bounce around talking about the recent films I've watched and also following. Nothing else, James.
Nice. Well, if that's the case, a couple of things to touch on, and then we'll head out of here. First of all, we didn't really talk about it before, but that Harry Potter show is going ahead, and they've just cast John Lithgow as Dumbledore. That's kind of interesting.
I think that's a good casting.
Does he do a British accent? Did he lean into kind of a British voice with Farquaad?
He played Churchill.
Didn't he do Churchill?
Oh yeah, he did. Of course, I haven't seen his performance as Churchill, so all right. I don't even need to hear it. I think it's good casting as well. But I was interested in the first major casting announcement. They're like, this for this uniquely British property, we've got an American. But if you're going to go American, Lithgow's pretty good. Cool. Then I guess the next thing we need to talk about is what's our next show going to be? Because Mickey 17 comes out this weekend, and I know we all want to go and see that. So we might have to talk about Mickey 17. And in case you guys like, this is admin stuff, we can talk about the show. I want to build anticipation. So
I think we all go see it, and then I think we do a show that's about something like wacky stuff,
Yeah.
some wacky films, and we talk about some real wacky ones. That'd be fun as.
So we'll talk about Mickey. So Mickey 17's coming, so that'll be a future show. We've got to schedule that. I know that Maddie wanted to talk at some point about movies that we were like, that was surprisingly good. So we'll
Love
post that. And people listening, if you're like, I really want to hear that topic, like let us know what you want to hear as well. Ultimately, we're going to decide, but we would like your input. I thought maybe, and we started doing this at the start of the episode without even discussing it, but we've all got our own kind of version of hidden gems. So I think like maybe an upcoming episode we could each curate like kind of a list of films to watch. Like, hey, these are great films people don't talk about. Let's do that. Which leads me into my final question for you, Maddie, because I know the answer from Nick. But Maddie, have you seen The Room?
No, I haven't sat and watched it start to finish, but I've seen snippets, bits and pieces, heard quotes.
Okay.
No, I'm going to just say no. I haven't seen Room.
Because since the creation of this podcast, I have desperately wanted to do an episode about The Room, and Nick has seen it, and because you haven't, I think that's a really good. I don't think it's even a hidden gem. I don't even know what you would describe this movie as, but I think okay. If you haven't seen The Room,
it's compulsory viewing, is it? Okay, you set me some homework.
I wonder if we are going to do The Room, whether we do it right, and you both make the trip into
the city.
To Cinema Nova in Carlton, where they still play it, I think, every month, and it's like an interactive viewing.
Oh, then yes. No, just count me in. If I get to dress up and go to a cinema and that's what we're doing. Yeah,
double feature of Mickey 17 in The Room, which is probably not a bad double feature.
I think it's like if you've still got your brain intact after both of those movies, you're doing well.
I'm down. That sounds really good. Yeah, I'm down.
Alrighty, we've got some things to do. Hopefully that's whetting appetites. So the next episode people listen to will not have Maddie and Nick on it. It'll be an interview with someone. I'm not sure which one will come out first. I'm interviewing J.R. Stokes, director of EdgeX. Listen out for that. I'll be interviewing Nadia Robertson because we only talked about one of her 5 favorite films because she spoke about Captain America for so long, which was wonderful. And I've got a few more guests. I haven't booked everything in yet, but I've got a returning American guest and a brand new American guest in a double episode coming up. And a couple of little bits and pieces. But I think that's it. Oh, I started writing as well, guys, but we'll talk about that later. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the podcast. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Do you guys want to sign off and say goodbye, and then I'll wrap it up?
What do I sign off with? Get amongst the flowers.
Get amongst the flowers.
Go race a bee on a bike.
Race a bee.
Thanks, guys. It was lovely to get the first one with the 3 of us in the can.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it was a good. We're still finding our feet, but I think it was a pretty. Humble debut. I'm happy with that. Well, that's it from all of us here at Film Snob HQ, where it's movie night every night. We'll see you next week.